Hello, welcome to Scented Pages. Welcome and welcome back to my channel, baby. I was ready and not ready to record, so since it went ahead on and just started, I'll go ahead on and start the video. I was looking for a cloth to clean my glasses with. I don't see one around here. Oh, yes, I do. I see one right there. Hold on. Let me get a cloth so I can clean my glasses with. Clean my glasses real quick. And then we can start on the reading update because I read 4 books that I really enjoyed and I want to talk about them. Give me a second. Okay. So I'm going to, I didn't get anything. See, with all that being said, I didn't get anything that I needed to gather so that I can talk about what I'm currently reading and what I want to read when I get done what I'm currently reading. So my TBR. But I'll go and I'll grab that book when I get done my reviews. My hair is all over my head. Okay, look. Okay, just look. Okay. I know I don't have to get cute for you every single video. Okay, I know that we're friends and that it's okay that you can see me in between styles and it is all good. But when I do get cute for you, honey, just know I'll come to slay. It's like I have to do my hair when I get done this video, but I wanted to do the video first because I know it's going to take me a couple of days, at least the rest of the weekend, before I can be presentable enough again to record a video. And I didn't want to take too long. I didn't want too many more days to go by before I uploaded this video. So you're going to have to get the fluff today. All right. The first book, let me see. Where is my... Okay. This is what happens when it just starts recording and I'm not prepared. Oh, okay. So I DNF'd a couple of books. Oh. My bad. I DNF'd Kill Creatures because it wasn't going in the direction that I thought it was going to go in. It was more YA, and even though the theme of it seemed really good. So Kill Creatures is by Rory Power, and it's about this girl who, her and her friends go on like a little trip to the river. Like not even a trip, but like a little end of summer little trip or something like that to the river. And of the 4 girls, only one comes back. And so like the 3 girls are missing, and a year later the town and the girl, her name was Nan, right? So we have Nan, Lucy, Edie, and Jane. And they all go on, they take a boat out on the river for their final little swim before they all, graduate, become adults, I think that is. And they go out, but only 4 of the girls come back. Only one of the girls comes back. The other 3 have disappeared. Nan is the only one that has come back from the river. So a year later, Nan and the rest of the town, they show up at the river to have like a little vigil for the girls. Well, lo and behold, one of the girls, Lucy, I guess that's how you pronounce her name, she comes crawling back out of the river. And so Nan was like, Where does she come from? Why is she walking and crawling back out of the river when I killed her? She's not supposed to be. They all disappeared because I killed them all. I thought that sounded like a really good premise. But unfortunately, when I got to reading it, I kind of lost interest. And then to my detriment, I got to doing a little too much research about it because it really wasn't reading like how I wanted it to. Not that it was boring, but it wasn't reading like how I wanted it to. And I had to figure out why. And well, lo and behold, it's a YA book. And I cannot get into YA. Although the premise would be nice, they always sound nice. The titles and the premise of them always sound nice. But when it comes down to the actual like reading it, I can never really get behind it. So I DNF'd it. I wasn't interested anymore. And I also DNF'd The Miracle of Our Universe because it wasn't going in the direction that I thought it was going to go in, far as, you know, how I want to think about things and things like that. It's a good book, well-written book, but it's not my path. And I also DNF'd The Cottage by Lisa Stone, I think it was by. That was just boring to me. It wasn't boring to a lot of people, but to me it was. And then again, I went doing research to kind of find out what all I'm in for and what all it was about. And again, I wasn't too interested in the subject matter of that book. That book's subject matter reminded me of this movie that I watched about this doctor called it was the Dr. Cecil Johnson story. I watched it on Tubi and it was a disgusting story. If you want to know about it, Google him and what he did. And The Cottage is giving the same inbred kind of trope. Not even kind of, it is inbreeding of the local village, but it's good. It seemed like it was going to be good, but it wasn't what I feel like reading about right now. So I DNF that one too. Yeah, so I already talked about what I wanted to DNF, and so now the reviews, and then when I get done the reviews, I will tell you what I want to read. I have to go and get that from my other book. All right. I might maybe go back to Kill Creatures if I feel like it, but I doubt it. I'm not sure. Okay. So the first one that I have is God Still Don't Like Ugly by Mary Monroe. And this one was book number 2. Did I do? No, I didn't do this one. I don't think I did this one in my last review. Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay. So God Still Don't Like Ugly by Mary Monroe. The synopsis is, in this haunting and powerful new novel, national best-selling author Mary Monroe revisits Annette Good, Rhoda Nelson, and the other unforgettable characters from God Don't Like Ugly. After a 5-year separation, Annette is ready to take tentative steps to reestablish her friendship with Rhoda. But has her troubled girlhood companion come to terms with her past? So, my review is, I gave this one 5 stars. And that says, what was with Jerome and his family's obsession with big women? I understand the light skin, but what's with the weight obsession? Weird. I thoroughly enjoyed book 2 of this series. Annette is older and has moved back from Erie, PA. And she's got up with Jerome for a while until his uncle outed her for whoring in the past, honey. Even though he was one of her Johns. Jerome cussed her out so bad, and I was so happy, though, that she stood up for herself and didn't go back to him when he realized the error of his ways. I was really proud of Annette for telling her mother about Butt Right, and I loved Rhoda even more for mouthing to Annette to tell it now. I was happy that she resumed her relationship with Pee-wee. He's a sweet boy from next door who loves and knows her best. He has grown up nicely so far. And I will say that I did like his reaction when Annette told him that she was selling that thing for a little while in her past. He was like, well, I must owe you a whole lot of money for all that kitty cat you done gave me. I hope them other niggas paid you well, because you got some good pussy. I liked how their relationship progressed as the book went on. It was really cute. But oh my goodness, Rhoda. The author ain't have to do my girl like that. I understand that you get back what you put out, but everything that she did was justified. Well, except for cheating on her husband. That's the only thing that she has done that I really don't agree with. So why the cancer and a stroke? Why take all... Oh yes, so why take all that makes her her? Because she's a woman who took matters into her own hands. Frank left his wife and child for another woman and made a bunch of other off-white, as Scary Mary calls them, children with her, while Annette and her mother had a horrific go at it for a while. Frank is Annette's father. They had a horrific go at it for a while. Yet, he is fine. Matter of fact, he's better than fine. He done made his way back to Annette's mother's bed. Nothing has happened to him. And he's handsome. Make it make sense. Why do women in media always have to pay in the worst ways for what they do? I said, why didn't Butt Right have more consequences for the stuff that he did? I mean, okay, Rhoda did make sure that he met with his death. But sometimes death is a little too good for some people. Sometimes I feel like people need to suffer in this lifetime. And Rhoda is. I said, and it's written and implied that Rhoda is kind of paying for her shit now. And why couldn't Butt Right? I get it. God still don't like ugly, no matter who's the perpetrator. But Rhoda deserves so much better than what she's getting in this book. A woman can be written or portrayed on screen as doing and being wrong while still experiencing the same types of consequences men do when they are portrayed in media doing and being wrong. Like Butt Right, the fuck. So that was my book. That was my review. I gave it 5 stars. Next is The Quiet Tenant by Clemence Michelon. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Clemence is the first name. I'll put it at the bottom. And Michalon is the last name. This was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed The Quiet Tenant. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. So the synopsis is: Aiden Thomas is a hardworking family man and a somewhat beloved figure in the small upstate New York town where he lives. He's the kind of man who always lends a hand and has a good word for everyone. But Aiden has a dark secret he's been keeping from everyone in town and those closest to him. He's a kidnapper and serial killer. Aiden has murdered 8 women, and there's a 9th he has earmarked for Rachel. And there's a 9th he has earmarked for Rachel, imprisoned in a backyard shed, fearing for her life. When Aiden's wife dies, he and his 13-year-old daughter, Cecilia, are forced to move. Aiden has no choice but to bring Rachel along, introducing her to Cecilia as a family friend who needs a place to stay. Aiden is betting on Rachel after 5 years of captivity, being too brainwashed and fearful to attempt to escape. But Rachel is a fighter and a survivor and recognizes Cecilia might just be the lifeline she has waited for all these years. As Rachel tests the boundaries of her new living situation, she begins to form a tenuous connection with Cecilia. And when Emily, a local restaurant owner, develops a crush on the handsome widower, Aiden, she finds herself drawn to Rachel and Cecilia's orbit, coming dangerously close to discovering Aiden's secret. Told through the perspectives of Rachel, Cecilia, and Emily, The Quiet Tenant explores the psychological impact of Aiden's crimes on the women in his life and the bonds between those women that give them the strength to fight back. Both a searing thriller and an astute study of trauma, survival, and the dynamics of power, The Quiet Tenant is an electrifying debut thriller by a major talent. Again, another excellent one. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. And I said, this was a really good read, compelling and enjoyable. The story is told through multiple points of view of women. Cecilia, the 13-year-old daughter, Emily, the love interest and possible next victim, and Rachel, the actual victim and woman being held captive for the past 5 years of her life. We never hear from Aiden's point of view, which is good and an interesting way to write the novel. That could leave some readers wanting to know a little bit more about Aiden. And I was fine without it. Just knowing that Aiden is a two-faced monster. Yes, I was fine with just knowing that Aiden was a two-faced monster. But I did want to know why. Why did he hold this girl hostage for so many years? And what made him the way that he is? Was it the sickness and the death of his wife that triggered it all? We really don't get answers to these questions, and that can be bothersome for some people. It was a little irritating for me. It just irritates me more, however, that Cecilia wasn't more suspicious of this lady. Cecilia is his 13-year-old daughter, right? So she wasn't a little more suspicious of this lady in their house and where she had really came from and why she never leaves, etc. No one, meaning the girl nor her mother when she was alive, was ever suspicious of the shed. The wife never had to go in there for anything. Was she forbidden to go in it? Or is that something that I just missed? Did I get that part wrong or something? Was she already passed away by the time he had gotten Rachel? I'm not sure. I don't think so. So, like that part of hiding this woman on your premise. Oh, okay. It says, I said, the wife never had to go in there, like for nothing. I said, was she forbidden to go in? Like that part of hiding this woman on your premise and having it disturb his daily life in any way with the people in his house is highly, and having it not disturb his life in any way with the people in his house is highly annoying to me. I'm not saying it is unbelievable. I just wish that he had a little more problems from it, from trying to hide this woman in her house and having a daughter in his house and having a daughter and stuff. I wish Cecilia was more onto her dad. I think that would have added an extra layer of juicy suspense. And then I could have gotten more from Cecilia's perspective. I said I wish there could have also been one more chapter from her perspective after it's revealed that her dad was the neighborhood boogeyman. I wish that she would have let her dad have it. Poor kid. Emily was the worst, absolutely insufferable until the very end of the book. I like the reaction that she has after learning the truth of who Aiden is. Rachel / May was okay. Traumatized and worried about a lot of the wrong things, like Cecilia, in my opinion. But overall, it was good. I loved it, but I'm taking a star off because it was irritating that Cecilia wasn't more suspicious of her dad. And because I didn't get a reaction chapter from her after he was caught. I would have liked that. So that was a little bit of a damper, so that's why I gave it 4 stars. But it was still a really good read. 4 out of 5 for The Quiet Tenant by Clemence Michelon. And then my third book, What Lies Between Us. by John Mars. I love me a good John Mars. He is so much fun. Oh my goodness, my hair. He says, they say every house has a secret, and the house that Maggie and Nina have shared for so long is no different, except that these secrets are not buried in the past. Every other night, Maggie and Nina have dinner together. When they are finished, Nina helps Maggie back to her room in the attic and into the heavy chain that keeps her there, because Maggie has done things to Nina that can never be forgiven, and now she is paying the price. But there are many things about the past that Nina doesn't know, and Maggie is going to keep it that way, even if it kills her. Because in this house, the truth is more dangerous than lies. Wow. This was another really good one. I gave this one 4 stars. And I said, oh, this is a really long review. But I said, this book had my Twizzler wound into such a tight twizzle, I didn't think it would ever loose me. I thought I was never going to get the answers to my many questions of why. Why does Nina have her mom chained in the attic like a prisoner? Why won't Maggie let Nina have a baby? Why won't Maggie tell Nina the reason that she is so crazy? Why didn't Maggie get Nina some professional help so long ago? So Maggie is the mother and Nina is her daughter. And her daughter Nina is holding Maggie prisoner in her home where she keeps her chained up in the attic. Weird power dynamic, but goodness gracious, it was a good book. So the daughter Nina keeps her mother Maggie chained up in the attic of their home, never to be released or allowed to interact with anyone again for the next 21 years of her life or until her death. Whichever comes first, for reasons that she feels are justified and unforgivable, which we are reading to find out those reasons. It was such a slow read in a good way. I didn't think it was boring. It was still compelling in a way that makes you want to slow down and listen to it. There's a lot of time jumps, and I love time jumps that reveal more of the past and how a character got to where they are now. If you like time jumps, then this is the story for you. And if you don't, then this is not the story for you, because there's a lot of them. This story explores deeply toxic mother-daughter relationships, which I don't usually enjoy reading as much as like a toxic female friendship trope. I said, and it's not that it's not good, it's just that I want to see more healthy mother-daughter relationship representations in books and in media. Even if they are killers, let them be without a doubt in love with, protective, and supportive of one another. It can still be toxic without it being the type of toxic where there's hate, dislike, and jealousy of each other between mother and daughter. That's so blah. I don't like those types of stupid things between some mothers and daughters. There's a very thin line between protection and control, and I think some mothers further smudge and blur that already very thin line. You don't have to be controlling in order to protect your daughters. But in this book, the weird reversal of power dynamic between mother and daughter is mwah, chef's kiss, and what kept me coming back for more. I just could not understand why Maggie was such a weakling pushover when it came to Nina. Like there are, during these time leaps that I mentioned before, we get glimpses into Nina growing up and Maggie raising Nina and the type of parent that Maggie was. And she leaves much to be desired. Although she is a sweet mom, she leaves much to be desired in the way of disciplining Nina and holding her accountable for her behavior. Not just that, but she also dropped the ball in getting Nina the much needed psychological and therapeutic help that she needed after so many traumatic events in her life. And then she's going to turn around and wonder why she's got her chained up in the attic like the psychopath that she is. Because she's crazy. She's always been crazy. She should have been had you locked up, chained up. Because that's what an off crazy daughter would do when she feels justified. Terrible. I said, in Nina's case, holding on to secrets meant to protect her led directly to her demise. Child, Maggie, you made that bed hard, now lay in it, is what I was thinking. Time after time, Nina showed her who she is, and she still let that girl roam free. After Maggie observes Nina doing what she does to her father, it begs the question of why. Why didn't you put her in therapy? Why didn't you tell her what she did and how she, what she did so that she could heal properly? Why would you keep such secrets at such an expense to self? What the F? Like, now in the situation with the father, I like that it was kind of left up to us to decide whether or not he was really guilty or just maybe another victim of Nina's psychosis. Maybe Alistair, the father, that's his name, was not the reason for the start of Nina's psychosis because nothing was ever confirmed or denied with him. That was one of the reasons why she also should have put her in therapy so she could really get to the bottom of what was going on between Nina and her father, if anything. Now, Nina and her unrelenting pursuit of revenge is what, it was so good. Nina was probably my favorite written villain of this year so far. More than Leah from the Prada Plan, more than Scarlet from Bad Influence, more than any of them. Nina had me by the throat. She was excellent. I said, Maggie should have been put her ass in a war. So when I say the book slowly winds you up for a slow release via a succession of gut-punching reveals, it's what I live for. I mean it. The introduction of the character Dylan and his storyline in this was also what I needed. I loved it. It added just one more character to round everything out and bring things together. And that's exactly what it did, because for the majority of the book, it's just Nina and her mother in this house. And you can only do but so much with Nina and her mom in this house before it just becomes flat out boring. So them introducing Dylan later on was really good. 5 stars, excuse me. Of course, there are a few things that are unbelievable in it, like Nina not being more of a suspect than what she was when the cops showed up. I was reading some things in it like the police would never. But like I've said before, those things don't ruin a fictional story for me. It just makes it a little more enjoyable, a little more entertaining. Overall, it was a nice book. Now, I've been a lot on... I wasn't... Okay, for the majority of the book, I was on Maggie's side because I felt like she was Nina's victim. And especially being the mother... And she is Nina's victim, flat out. You know what I mean? Nina is absolutely nuttier than some squirrel-ish. Okay? Just crazy. However, I never really answered whether or not I feel as though Nina had a reason to keep her mother locked up in that attic the way that she does. But the answer is yes, I do. Yes, I do. I agree with her. I'm not saying I agree with her. I'll say I understand her. That's what it is. I understand her. I feel like she had every reason to be as angry with her mother as she was. And whether Nina is legit crazy or not, I felt like she still had justifications, in my opinion, to keep Maggie locked up. You don't do... And especially the way that Maggie handled her and did not communicate with her. is what drove me absolutely up the wall. I gotta get my cold coffee. I can't believe I left my cold coffee. But yes, she wouldn't talk to Nina and treat Nina like she was a child. I don't understand it. I had a nice iced coffee. I made me some cold coffee. But yes. Let me see. Now, for the last one that I have. Okay. The last little book is the other book 3 in the God series by Mary Monroe. Book 3 is God Don't Play. All right, so book 3, God Don't Play by Mary Monroe. It says, when the person who has been destroying her reputation and threatening her family challenges her to a face-to-face meeting, 45-year-old Annette Good finds her life and the lives of those closest to her forever changed when the identity of her tormentor is finally revealed. Alrighty, this was a great book. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I said, oh my goodness, this book was hilarious, and I didn't think I could become any more frustrated with Annette than I was. Yet, here we are. She is the worst. How is she closer to Rhoda's daughter than she is her own? We hardly even hear from poor little Charlotte or about her relationship with her mother Annette. She did no guiding of Charlotte or spending time with her for the entirety of the book. It was all about Jade, and I hated her relationship with Jade. It was entirely too much. I couldn't understand for the life of me how Annette thought it was okay to allow Jade to do the things that she was doing and not be concerned about how it would affect her relationship with Rhoda, or even tell Rhoda. If I was Rhoda, I'd have been pissed with Annette. Everybody needs to watch their own children. Jade needs to go home and be with her mother, Rhoda, and Annette definitely needs to go home and be with Charlotte. Because poor Charlotte doesn't need to be anywhere around Jade or her influence. I hated the way that Annette also, the second thing I hated, was how she dealt with Pee-wee when she was trying to find out if he cheated or not. By just accusing and assuming that he did something, because according to her, because of Mr. Boatwright, all men are just nasty, low-down, dirty dogs, which is not the case. And she saw that growing up. She saw her dad struggle, but end up being, he was always a decent man, and he ended up coming back home. She saw her stepfather be a good man to her mom and leave her with an inheritance. She literally watched Pee-wee grow up and be a good man. So make it make sense in that. She almost lost Pee-wee behind that stupid crap, and I wouldn't have blamed him, shaking my head. And most of all, I hated how she dealt with Jade after she found out that she was the one behind her stalking. She didn't immediately run and tell Rhoda or immediately beat Jade's ass herself. She effed off to Florida somewhere just to turn around and come back home on the next flight. Girl, grow up. I was like, if you don't grow the hell up, mostest insufferable character ever. It's giving Big Black Mammy, and I hated it. It's giving, like I've been reading The Coming of Age of Aunt Jemima, and it's getting on my nerves. But I can't wait to read the next book, and I love this series. I like Jade being more of an inverse version of her mother. Rhoda is already a dark and kind of manipulative person, but she was never evil. I never felt that she was evil, but she's definitely dark, and she was never hurtful towards Annette. But Jade's ass is evil. But I can see how Rhoda produced Jade. I can see how Rhoda passing on certain dark genetic predispositions and then turning around and also layering on top of that, overly spoiling Jade and doting on Jade all the time and just blowing her head up could turn Jade immediately into a monster, and it did. Especially if she wasn't, if Rhoda wasn't gonna point Jade in a more of a moral direction. I said, see, Rhoda was strong enough to do evil things that needed to be done. Jade just does the shit for fun. Jade is giving Scarlett's la ass from bad influence a run for her money. Jade would have kind of been like a big sister of Scarlett. Honey, hilarious. All right. Why is it saying that I read that one, but I didn't? Okay, so now I'm gonna go get my bag and talk about, unless I can remember. Okay, no, I can't remember. I'm gonna go get my bag. I'll be right back. Okay. So I have started. Oh, Listen for the Lie. Oh my goodness, that is so good. I forget who it's by off the top of my head, but it is excellent. About this girl who is suspected and has been accused of killing her best friend, but she doesn't know what happened that night because she has suffered a horrible bout of amnesia. So there's this podcast, this guy who has this podcast, and he has been doing episodes of this podcast called Listen for the Lie, where he's trying to solve the murder of the girl Savvy. They called her Savvy. Her name was Savannah, and her friend Lucy is the best friend that is accused of and suspected of killing her, because when on the night that Savvy was murdered, there was hella incriminating crap against Lucy, honey. I ain't even gonna hold you. Like, she was covered in the girl's blood. She had like battle scars and stuff from them fighting all over her. Like Lucy's nails, not Lucy, Savvy's nails was dug into Lucy's skin and stuff like that. Like, the cops saw all of this evidence, but they don't know who killed her. Yeah, I haven't gotten to the end of it. I'm almost done it. And it's really, really good. Also started The Keeper of Hidden Books, which is a World War II novel. It's around the time period of World War II. And so I thought that would be good to listen to after I finish reading the current book that I'm doing, the World War II one. I forget what it's called now, but yeah, I'll put it up when I edit it and can think of what the hell it's called. And How to Really Love Your Teenager. I'm like halfway through that. I really dedicated myself to reading that this week, and that was excellent. Another really good one. I'll probably do a review summary of it. And so next, what I want to read is, oh no, I'm getting mixed up. The Keeper of Hidden Books. See, that's why I shouldn't be reading so many books all at one time. The Keeper of Hidden Books is the library book that I'm reading. That is the World War II novel that's set directly in World War II. The book that I want to follow up with that is called The Alice Network, and that is set a couple of years after the end of World War II. So I thought that would be good to read The Alice Network by Kate Quinn right after I finish The Keeper of Hidden Books. Goodness gracious. Then I'm going to be doing book 4, God Ain't Blind, by Mary Monroe in the God series. The Dead Husband by Carter Wilson, which is kind of a companion book to The New Neighbor. There's a link in it between The New Neighbor and The Dead Husband. It's set in the same house, and it's like it's got a lot of the same kind of characters. So because the first Carter Wilson, The New Neighbor, is so good, I'm gonna go ahead on and also do The Dead Husband. Yeah, okay, that's it. So yay, that's it. Did all of that. Let me see. Let me make sure that I talked about. Yeah, and so I mentioned Cecil Jacobson. If you get a chance, watch the movie. It's called The Baby Maker, the Dr. Cecil Jacobson story. That's what I was talking about earlier in the video about the doctor and his fertility clinic. Horrifying. He was absolutely disgusting. I'm surprised that he didn't get more daggone time for what he was doing. Gross. But his story kind of reminded me a lot of The Cottage. So, I think I'm done. All right. I'm going to wrap this up, get to doing my hair, and I will see you all next time.